Today I'm going to be reviewing a new indie pilot for a series called Wastelandia, written and directed by Izzzyzzz. The show starts by introducing two characters, Zoe and Moth. Moth tells Zoe he had a bad day at work because 3 teens made fun of him for being quote-unquote old and cringe, and not knowing the latest fashion trends. This makes him feel self-conscious and annoyed, since being called a normie really pisses him off, especially because he spends so much time online. He even brags about his Reddit karma and tries to prove he isn't a normie. Right away, Moth comes off as pretty shallow. Zoe, on the other hand, feels like the opposite of him. She talks about how she told her parents she dropped out of med school because of stress and how they immediately compared her to her older sister, Courtney, who's a successful doctor with a boyfriend and a nice house. Zoe's left feeling demotivated and like she'll always be seen as a failure in her parents' eyes. Then we meet the third character, Alice. She's more optimistic, or at least she tries to be. Alice is an art student who explains how she was kept up all night by construction noise, overslept, and ended up messing up her art presentation. She keeps trying to stay positive, but life clearly isn't making it easy for her. The pilot ends with all 3 of them looking over the city, which appears to be on fire, but the flames aren't real though, at least I think, and they're meant to represent the mess their lives are in, and how they can at least find comfort in knowing that they're together. The show is described as a slice of life comedy, but the one thing that doesn't totally work for me is the comedy itself. The humor feels way too topical. In the first 15 seconds, Zoe is scrolling on her phone, and there are already 3 references right away: Five Nights at Freddy's, Breaking Bad, and Pop Crave, the Twitter account. These are smaller references, but there are way more obvious ones later. Moth is browsing r/am I the asshole and bragging about karma. The teens at the store talk about what's trending on Twitter and use the word normie constantly. Zoe even name drops Neopets, and I get that it's a web series and these jokes are expected, but it feels a little bit forced and it probably won't age well later. It's kind of like watching a show from 10 years ago and they randomly mention a meme or outdated topic. Like, imagine if I had a show and then they started talking about Dat Boy or something. It's funny for a second, but it's instantly dated later on. The structure of the pilot isn't the best. Each character gets their own little section that sets up their personality, but there isn't much of a conflict or story. It's more of an introduction. I think it would have been more fun if the 3 of them actually did something together in the pilot, so their personalities came out through the story rather than just being explained to us. But to be fair, the episode is only about 5 minutes long, not counting credits, so there isn't much room to pull that off. However, to give the benefit of the doubt to the poor writing and strange structure, creator Izzy stated on a YouTube comment that she wrote the script a few years ago and that if she could write it now, there would be many improvements. Where Wastelandia really shines is in the visuals and audio. There's an insane amount of attention to detail and small little things that make the show more visually appealing. In the first scene, there's an art piece in the background that's assumed to be Alice's. In Moth's scene, there are fake Funko Pop characters that all correspond to actual Funko Pops, plus little jokes on the side like Sabrina Carpenter Ant and Chapel Pony. When Zoe's sister Courtney shows up, her diploma literally says Doctorate. There's also a poster for the DMA group that only appears for a few seconds, and all the doodles on the art school's whiteboard help make the world feel lived in. The character designs are solid, the animation is really smooth, and the sound design is super detailed. There's a sound for basically every little movement or effect on screen, and the music really adds to the atmosphere. Overall, the pilot is a decent start, but I feel like the comedy leans way too hard on the internet and references, and the structure could have been better. But the characters are interesting, the visuals are packed with personality, and the production quality is honestly really impressive. With a bit more focus on story and humor, and not like, internet references, Wastelandia could turn into something really fun and unique. Thanks for watching my review, and that's all I have to say. I'm close to reaching 200 subscribers, so if you're watching this, please subscribe. But that's all. Goodbye.